Click the links, you join the subscribes to or join this channel, I suppose, while you can. Thanks for everyone's support. So sometimes these tweets, it's like, who's writing these tweets? And you're looking at them like, how deep in an echo chamber do you have to be to write these kind of tweets? There's this one, and then there's another one by Cat Tenbargo, which I don't know if I can talk about it on the YouTubes, but you can search her tweet. It's just the most insane self-own. Just it's way worse than this one, but it involves the BLT stuff. But it's like, how do you write this stuff and not make the next logical conclusion? Oh, because you're so deeply brainwashed. Like, you were deep in an echo chamber. See, that's the one cool thing about the right is we're way more comfortable fighting amongst ourselves. Like, there's no herd mentality. It's just fighting all the time. The most vicious fighting. And then, eventually I think we kind of can come together and get on the same page, move in the same direction. But until then, it's just, it's just the most brutal infighting. And the left wing doesn't seem to have that as much. They seem to operate more out of fear of each other, where I think the right wing operates out of just a need to fight with anyone and anything. So Alyssa Milano seems terrified. There's a lot to go through here. People have been dunking on her and just... I mean, she throws a softball and people are knocking it out of the park. It's like, yeah, anyone can hit these softballs. So she seems terrified of free speech. She loves free speech as long as it's for her party's pre-approved message. So that's not really free speech, is it? No, not so much. They label your speech hateful, wrong thing, and your speech must be censored because it's a threat to our democracy. What are you talking about? You mean the constitutional representative republic? Is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. Gentlemen, it's a republic if you can keep it. Oh, we lost it, I don't know, 1913, 1914, maybe 1965, 1971. 1965, I'll say, was the last nail in the coffin. You can go into Telegram and you can ask about those dates. And it's funny, like, those dates themselves are a dog whistle. Like, the people who know, they know. 1913, you know. I was at maybe 1971 is a little bit more esoteric. It's childish level thinking to think that we're going to label the opposing party's speech hate speech. Oh, well, won't they just label your speech hate speech? No, because the right doesn't control the media. Oh, that's very convenient. It's very convenient when there is no open marketplace of ideas. These. Oh my God! Yeah, I'm on a little bit of a 12-hour timeout on Twitter now, but I was able to like these tweets when I was on there. Elon Musk is having way too much fun for Twitter. Thing is, it's not logical because both sides label each other's speech hate. I mean, you could. I think that the right wing's a little bit more mature. Sometimes, a little. When I say a little bit more mature, I'm not. Yeah, I mean that. It's just like a little bit more true. Don't get me wrong. The right wing does a lot of stupid things too, but it cancels out, like, because it's an appeal to emotion. You're just labeling each other's speech, but in like logical, in rhetoric, in something like you have this equation, but you have something that both cancels out. There's no point in raising the issue. You just want to, like, you can realize it's a deflection. It's if there's a pyramid of argument technique, and it's like top is the argument itself, and calling somebody's speech like attacking the format of the speech, I'm not exactly sure. It's like, well, that's not attacking the argument. I guess it's somewhere along the realm of an ad hominem or something like that. It's an appeal to emotion. You go, I feel it's this. Oh, well, we feel it's not. Okay, well, then it cancels out. Move on to argument that's more objectively based. So with a lot of the left wing now, you've got this participation trophy generation where if they hear diversity of thought, they will have an emotional response, to the point now where I think a peaceful separation is better than to just continue down these Libertarian Party is having way too much fun. Continue down this path. The window has shifted so far that free speech and protecting kids from degenerate brainwashed teachers, those are far right wing Hugo Boss values now. It's like, are you sure that that's the binary you want to set up to the normie? Like, to keep presenting the normie with this binary, like, you have to choose one. It's like, which one do you think they're going to choose? Friendo? The left wing, like, oh, so Sargon of Assad, Carl Benjamin, is literally Hugo Boss. Yeah, that's right. But I mean, so what about the people who are further to the right than him? Oh, well, they're super duper Hugo Boss. And the people that are furthest to the right, super duper. Okay, I mean, So this purity spiral. So how many people are on the left who actually believe with like far left wing values? 6%. Okay. I mean, good luck with that. Like when it reaches a tipping point of where people say enough is enough and they just want to start talking about this stuff publicly, I think the far left wing values are going to find themselves in a shrinking circle, and the moderate left will be like, oh, we didn't agree with them. Like we didn't agree with them the whole time. We were against this the whole time. It's like all the stuff that's happened over the past few years with the the recent stuff. In 20 years, the left wing who is like totally on board this kind of nonsense is going to be like, oh no, we weren't for all that kind of stuff. We were no, we were just going about we weren't on board that. Like, social media, it's there's no point in arguing with this kind of stuff. So imagine your political platform being defending turning kids into catamites. It's like, you're left wing, right? The far right wing wants to stop this kind of like Balenciago Epstein stuff. Oh yeah, that's the extremist alt dangerous far right. It doesn't seem so extreme to me. I'm on board that. Oh, you're an extremist too. Yeah, but you're calling like 80% of the population the extremists. I mean, just logically, that doesn't make sense. And again, for the left winger, look at them like, are you like, is this a weird hill? I'll say to defend. So imagine your political platform. One of the founding foundational dogmas is defending turning kids into catamites. Nobody on the left will speak up against it because they're scared of being called istophobic. The thing is, if enough people just go yes, so then it ends. It just like you can end it right there. We go, oh yeah, absolutely, or whatever, dude. That's just Bolshevik Frankfurt School, Saul Alinsky, Marxist gobbledygook. I mean, like calling somebody istophobic is an appeal to emotion, and just saying it's Bolshevik, it's like it's nonsense on either side. But I mean, if they're putting out nonsense, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. But when their claims are based on appeals to emotions, like you can respond with an appeal to emotion. I feel this way. Oh, I feel differently. Oh, well, why do you feel that way? Wait a minute, you didn't explain why you felt the way you did, and now you're asking me to justify my subjective feeling with objective facts. Like that's not logical. But a lot of times, like with Alyssa Milano, you're talking to people who are adults with childlike brains who've just been stuck in an echo chamber for a long time. The thing is, so nobody in the moderate left is going to call out some of this stuff because they know the mob will turn on them like just viciously. If you're on the left, you can't criticize anything on the left at all. You have to be either on board it, 100% virtue signaling, or silent about it. And even if you're on the left and you're too silent about it, they'll come for you there. It's like, oh, how come you're not taking a... I think they came for Taylor Swift. They wanted her to endorse some politician or something. So I can prove it simply this way. I know that not everyone on the left is pro this Balenciago type of stuff, what they're doing with the kids. So why don't some people on the left start speaking out against all this kind of, Epstein stuff that's going on? Or why didn't more people speak out against the Weinstein stuff in Hollywood? It's like, they were hoping someone else would speak out against it, or they're secretly supporting it. Though I kind of don't think there's too many people who are secretly supporting it. Doesn't it seem odd that the far extreme Hugo Boss right wing is against hurting kids? Like, this is the left wing dichotomy, binary. It's the left wing logic gate that they've set up, where it's an extremist position to say, oh, you should just leave kids alone. Let kids go to school. They don't need to be taught critical theory from the Frankfurt School. Just teach, and like to the point of like, there's no saving schools. You have to set up micro schools, home schools, national schools, private schools, and even like private schools and religious schools. I look at that and like, I think we need something further to the right than that, like a based neighborhood school where you're either neutral or you're uplifting kids to teach them because they've been beaten down so long with all this anti-Western sentiment. I would set up a curriculum that elevates the West and teaches these kids how awesome they and their ancestors. I mean, like Aristotle and Plato. Like the Europeans built Europe. It's like you have a lot to be proud of. Anyway, so doesn't it seem weird that that's an extremist belief to say, oh yeah, leave kids alone. Oh, what Nazi says what? Yeah, okay. I mean, that's your argument. That's the left wing. The left wing is doing the work for us. That image of the armed Antifa who are willing to armed Antifa with the rainbow flags for the drag queen story hour. That's the best image on earth, to just show that to left wing people and go, so you guys are on board with this? And I'm not saying anything. I'm just asking, like, you're on board with this, like bringing kids to a drag queen story hour to a point like where you got people armed, so if something shakes out, it's like you're putting them at risk, and it's not, like nothing's going to happen, but it's like, would you bring your kids to something where a bunch of guys with rifles are walking around? Like, I'd probably just skip that day. Is the value in Drag Queen Story Hour so important that you're willing to take them to this area where it's like if guns are at a situation, then you have a situation where they are there, and if they're not there, they're not there. It changes the dynamic, and it's just like, would I go to a situation to a peaceful assembly? Yeah, for sure. Would I take my kids there? No, I think I'd probably skip that one. But it's like that one image you show to the moderate left wing, and just ask them like, so this is the left wing value, and they can't say no, it's not, because suddenly they will get ostracized and doxxed, and the banks will debank them, and they'll have their lives destroyed. So they just have to remain silent. Anyway, Alyssa Milano put Elon Musk before. I don't know if this shows her old tweets. She put him in the category of Jesus Christ. At least before he bought Twitter, she put him in that category. If you really want to have an eye opener, go watch Pumping Iron. It's the 70s movie, 60s, 70s movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, a bunch of other bodybuilders. It's a trip. And it's the end of the movie. I don't know if they edited it out, but if you go go surfing, you can find the unedited version where he's talking about the great men who inspired him. One of them's Jesus and one of them's somebody else. It's like it was just a different time. The cultural Marxist brainwashing wasn't quite so extreme, and it's got to see what a leftist pussy Schwarzenegger has been turned into. Anyway, so before Twitter, she put Elon Musk right up there with Jesus Christ. She thinks, and this is an interesting shift in the language, where she accuses him of thinking that he's an Ubermensch type of stuff. I guess I'll say European nationalist, which I don't understand why that's a pejorative, and why nobody pushes back against that. Like, to ask anyone on the right to push back against that is worthless, because the majority of the right wing is absolutely worthless. They're just cons and grifters, I don't know what you want to call the corporate right and left, like not the individuals who are right or left, but it's this corporate people who get enmeshed in this media machine where they trap themselves in this cage, and then they just become useless. They just become part of the machine, where they will never say, like Newt Gingrich. Credit to Newt Gingrich. I don't know if you right or left you listen to this, but to get on Fox and to make that one comment he made, and you see the two girls just wet their panties when he said the thing he said, and just stop that line instantly. So credit to him, balls to him, for being of an older generation. And I was like, that's one guy. One guy said something real. AOC said something real. The Mary Sue had one article that I caught about talking about campaign finance reform type of stuff, or like calling out Nancy Pelosi. It's like, that was one article, and you go like, so wait, why isn't the right wing doing stuff like that? Why do I have to rely on the idiots at the Mary Sue, who, to their credit, did write that article? So like they're the only ones who wrote it. It feels weird to have to give them credit for that, and it's shameful that nobody on the right is calling out that Nancy Pelosi stuff. And you go, oh, because they're also in the same boat. Like Nancy Pelosi, $150 million, she's extreme, but you look at everyone else, you're like, oh, so you're all in that same boat of taking, are we gonna? No, you're not gonna vote your way out of this. Anyway, so I mean, like, there are strange bedfellows if you want to reach out to these people, like the AOC, Newt Gingrich, occasional people to Mary Sue who's bringing up issues. Like, if you can wash off the propaganda, like, oh, we're not supposed to talk to these people, we're not supposed to like these people. Bryson Gray, Anomaly, Fuentes, Kanye, all these people, is that you can get together and go, okay, wait a minute, like, can we talk about real issues here without like all this poisoning the well kind of brainwashing that's been imposed on us for so long? And like, that would be a new political party that could move forward. And Kanye and Nick Fuentes are like, if they do nothing else, they bring ideas, they mainstream ideas that were on the fringe, and it's absolutely time. Like, I look at the Trump and the right and go like, the left wing doesn't disavow the further left wing, and the right wing is the first to disavow. Like, you're the first to split your party. The left wing doesn't do that. Like, they're openly communists, the people who slaughtered hundreds of millions of people, and like the right wing. Oh, well, I would say the right wing used to openly disavow the further right. And that's been changing a little bit, but it's like, if you're not all one group on the right, you're going to lose. Like you're just going to continue to lose. Anyway, so the media is clever with their control because they can change the definitions of words in a few months. They're all on board calling America a democracy and not a constitutional republic. That's by design. You know how they all use that word democracy and nobody uses the word republic? The Constitution, it's got republic in it several times. I got it sitting in front of me. It's in like 6-point font. Um, I don't think democracy is in there unless they're referring to the Greek, but I don't think it's in there. It's like republic several times. That's by design when they are all using this is a threat to our democracy. Yeah, that should terrify you when they're all speaking like that, like a hive mind. It's you know how they love stochastic, that word increasing stochastic so much. It's I guess you could call it stochastic brainwashing, which might be a little bit redundant, but I love using their words against them. So think how brainwashed the NPCs are, where to be called a nationalist in your nation is now a pejorative. That will have the banks, payment processors, financial institutions, various sorts of private companies, social media companies, kick you off, blacklist you, unperson you in the digital age, and you have no recourse against billion-dollar financial institutions. You're absolutely powerless. Well, thank God I have representatives. Yeah. Hey, you're great. You gave yourself a raise and you're giving more money to foreign countries. You know that taxpayer money going to foreign countries? There's homeless tent cities throughout America. Why don't you? Oh, no. We're gonna give that money to Ukraine and for other foreign countries. But there's homeless tent cities like everywhere in America. Everywhere where the outdoor winter temperature won't kill you, it's full of homeless tent cities. Yes, that's true, but those policies are in place because of liberalism, feminism, socialism, this slow boiling cultural Marxist frog that happened post-war. And to address the homeless tent cities that are taking over America means that we have to go back and address that issue, which means we probably have to go back to 1913 and address that issue. And we're not going to do that, so we're going to take your taxpayer money and give it to Ukraine. So like this is the end stage where you're just looting the treasury and nobody's doing anything about it. Like the people who there are a few people I mentioned like who are speaking out up against this on social media, and it's like there's a handful of people who are speaking up against it, and there's maybe 100 people who have a social media footprint, and then like honestly, I don't want to say make a list because that sounds like it glows from orbit. There's a lot of people who are not speaking up against it, who are just war pigs at the trough, and it like left and right, they're all the same war pigs. Anyway, so they're able to brainwash people using the absolute control of the media into accepting the conclusions that nationalism is bad because they never show the argument. Issue, rule, analysis, argument. Iraq, issue, rule, analysis, conclusion. Sorry, and the conclusions at the end, but they never show the argument because the media is not the media. It's just globalist propaganda. They have brainwashed people into the stimulus response where X is bad or X is good, but to question it is bad. It shows that you're not part of the hive mind. You're a wrong thinker. You're a wrecker of progress. Yikes, my guy. Bad take, my guy. Get back in the center of the herd where it's safe. I'm like, wait a minute. I want to ask questions. When did the left suddenly start trusting the media and government? Here's my predictions for YouTube a year from now. No, I won't be here in a year from now. But if you have a YouTube channel that talks about you should never trust or don't trust the media and the government, always question, you're just not going to be allowed on YouTube anymore. Like YouTube is Google YouTube, right? That's just not going to be the direction that they want to go in. The thing is that used to be the left-wing position, not trusting, always question authority. And like suddenly that's slowly shifted. So what happened to the left wing? How did they get so subverted and corrupted in the last, 40 years? 40 years has been, what is it, 2022? So was that 82? 40 years, 50 years, it's slowly boiling the frog. It's generational globalist brainwashing. You get globalists in the universities, and then it trickles down in the media, and then schools, and then the teachers union, and then the school boards themselves and the federal institutions. And next thing you know, it's like you're learning Bolshevik critical theory in schools. Like it's so enmeshed in the system. You can't save the system. You have to separate from the system. And the white pill is alt tech and mainstream tech now because Twitter and social media and forming in-group preferences and like calling out Bolsheviks and removing ourselves from the system to form our own in-group preferences, our own in-groups. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.